mackerel cakes. It's like some mackerel fish cakes with mashed potatoes and some greens. Homemade food that my mom had made. I'm gonna show you. Here's how it looks with the greens and the mashed potatoes and the mackerel cakes. I'm gonna pray over my food. Lord, please bless this meal that I'm about to eat. In the name of Jesus Christ and Mount Zion, as I please bless many others out there to have something to eat too. Lord, Zion, as I pray in my heart. And God bless the homeless out there too, Lord. I hope and pray that they have something to eat as well. And hope and pray that they'll be able to make ends meet. As I pray, Alright, here are the greens. I got something for dessert again. Taste the mackerel. It tastes like mashed potatoes. It's really good. I like to mix my greens up, my mashed potatoes. Who else likes to do that? Here's a mackerel cake. It's really good. Eat it all together. The mackerel cake with the greens. My allergies were acting up. That was a bit bite. Really tasty. It's really, really tasty. It's really good. So what are you guys eating tonight? Well, guess I can share a story. It's a story that I said short. The story that I'm currently working on. And the story is called Artie's Little Feet. It's about a 7-year-old boy named Artie. He was going through bullying at school, and these older boys was picking at him. It was Rodney Bellamy, Lincoln Gables, and Julius Waynesboro. They was giving him a hard time because he was tiny. He couldn't do the same stuff like them because he was like small for his age. He was 7 years old, but looked it like he was like 5 or 4 years old. He was small. You know, one day in gym class, what's his name? Roger, well, you know, like they do the fitness test in PE class or gym class, and my main character Artie, he was climbing up the rope, And the boy, well, he was struggling to climb up the rope at first. The boys was teasing him like, "Oh, look at him, a little worm trying to make it up on the rope." And Artie was telling them like, "I will make it up the rope. You're gonna watch and see." And sure enough, he was making it up the rope. As they was teasing him, he knew how to wipe their smile away by making it up on top of that rope. And it was like a bell at the very top where they rings, like to show that they made it up to the top. Artie almost had run that bell, but before he could run the bell, why I keep calling him Rod, Roger had came up at the bottom of the rope. He shook the bottom of the rope and had made Artie fell down on the floor, and Artie broke his arm. He broke his arm, and he had to go to the doctor, and it showed that he had to wear a cast. And he was sad about his arm being broken. He didn't know when it would get better on him. His mother thought that his arm would have to heal up for some months. But his grandmother, Artie's grandmother, Agnes, she had told Artie like to not worry about his arm being broken, that God is going to heal it. The good Lord is going to heal it. And it was like not too long after she said that. It was like after that day when it turned 12 o'clock, Artie had woken up to a soft whisper in his ear. It was calling his name. At first he thought it was his mother, but when he had opened up his eyes fully, he realized that it wasn't his mother. It was this angelic presence. This angelic presence. It was a beautiful woman that was dressed in all white. Rich brown skin, and just had a loving smile on her face. And she reached it out for Arnie's hand or Arnie's arm, like for Arnie to let her grab his hand. And that's what he did. He trusted her enough, to let her, heal his arm. Once she grabbed his arm, she rubbed it for a while, and once she rubbed it, Artie was able to move his arm again. It wasn't broken anymore. The very next day, Artie couldn't wait to tell his mother and his grandmother about his encounter with an angel. But guess who didn't believe? His mother did not believe. She believed in God, without a doubt. But she did not believe that you could get visited by angels. You could get visitations by angels that were sent for God. She didn't believe that. Her believing in that way is just like somebody eating banana pudding but hates bananas. It's kind of doesn't make any sense. But Thea did not, believe that angels can, visit people. She heard of angels in the Bible and everything. She didn't believe like her son actually got a visitation from one. That's until Artie ends up coming across this man named Goodness Slate. Not Goodness Sate, even though it sounds similar to that. It's Goodness Slate. Slate. He was in a store one day. Artie, he made a good grade on his spelling test at school. He came at home, told his mother and his grandmother about it. His grandmother had gave him $1 to go to the store and get whatever he want. He went to the store and wanted to buy him a lollipop and a soda pop. And when he got there, he realized that the Goodness Slate guy did not have enough change himself. See, Goodness Slate was standing in front of the line of people. He was the very first one that was standing up at the front. And the man behind the cash register was telling him like, "Hey man, you holding up my line. You either going to buy something or you're not. If you're not going to buy something, then get out the store." The man was talking to him in that way. And the guy was just looking around for change, and he didn't have enough. He didn't have enough change. And Artie was the only one that felt bad for him. So the man eventually had to step out because he didn't have no money. He was just waiting on the side of the store for somebody to give him money. He did not know that Artie would be one of the people who would just mess around, give up his change. Artie would like, forget the lollipop and the soda pop. I'm going to give this man the only change that I have because he needs it more than I do. But the man was trying to get some change to get him a cold beer. Once Artie did that, the man was shocked and like, wow, thank you, Artie. Now, rewind. Artie never met this man. He was a complete stranger to Artie. And he told Artie, wow, thank you, Artie. And Artie looked at him like, how do you know my name? He asked him that, like, how you know my name is Artie? He was like, I already know who you are. I see you all the time. Your name is Artie Acorn. That's his full name. He said, and I know your mother too, Thea Acorn. And I know your grandmother, Agnes. And then, didn't you have a brother who passed away back in 1969? Because, yes, I forgot to add that in. Artie had a brother named Louis Acorn. He passed away while fighting in the army back in 1969. And Louis and Artie also used to have a father named Nate. I mean, not Nate, Nat. Nat, I forgot his last name. I got it written down somewhere in my notes. But Nat, he had got killed by his brother Sam. It was back in 1966, before Louis died. Nat was shot. Well, Sam used his pew-pew on Louis when Louis had turned his back to leave out his door. It all had to do with Sam going up to Nat. No. Sam had used his pew-pew on his brother Nat because Nat wouldn't give him $2,000. The reason why he needed $2,000 because he owed some loan shark some money. And his loan shark had put a price on his head and had some guy going around looking for him. And, Sam had been going out of town and coming back in town and everything, just to hide out. So this guy won't find where he is at. And he begged his brother for $2,000. Nat, like, you must think that I made out of money. I don't have $2,000. They're like, okay, well, $350. Nat said he can't give him $350. He said, I'll just give you $25. What's his name? I forgot his name. Sam did not want to take the $25. And also the reason why the brother did not want to give Sam that amount of money, because Sam was also he was shooting up, aka he was just using drugs. He was using drugs. He was shooting up. He was on heroin bad, and that's the reason why he wanted to get a hold of cash. That's the reason why he had debts to deal with. He had debts that he had to pay because he just was irresponsible. He ended up losing his job before all of that happened. He was just mad at the world. Instead of blaming that one person, they look at himself in the mirror, which is himself. I stuttered a lot, excuse me. And he ended up, pew-pewing his brother in the back because his brother did not give him the money that he wanted. He ended up getting his pew-pew that was right beside his holy Bible and also underneath the picture of their parents. He grabbed it dead, left back out. Nat had no idea that his brother was standing right there, with a gun, until he had said, Nat, I got a surprise for you before you leave out. And Nat, turned around and said, what's the surprise? As soon as he turned around, pow, pow. Shot him twice in the chest. Well, no, not shot him twice. Rewind back. I thought about my story. He shot him in the forehead. Nat instantly dropped on the floor. That single shot to the forehead killed him. And he was in his early to mid 30s. And he left behind, of course, his two sons, Louis and Artie. And Sam had ended up dying himself from a stroke, back in 1969 as well. I think it was in 1970. I forgot. But anywho, I got to finish up my mackerel patty. But anywho, Artie had came across Goodness Slate, and this guy already knows all about Artie. He knows about his mother and everything. He knows about almost his whole life. And Artie was dumbfounded. He was shocked. Like, how do you know all of this about me? But he did not know that Goodness Slate was not an ordinary person. Goodness Slate the whole time was an angel in disguise. And Artie had ended up telling Goodness Slate was also living on the streets. And Artie was telling him like, hey, you could come over. My mother wouldn't mind feeding you, but Thea did mind. She did not know who this man was. She didn't want no strange man coming into her house, let alone some homeless man off of the streets. But Artie better, and her mother had talked to her into doing it like just let the man in. He's hungry. What would Jesus do? You never know. Who you talking to. It could be an angel in disguise. That's what Agnes told Thea. So Thea had let the man in, gave him a meal and stuff, and Artie also begged his mother to let the man have somewhere to lay his head at. And the man had said like, no, she don't have to do all of that. And Artie like, yeah, but you need somewhere to lay at. And eventually Thea had ended up giving the man somewhere to lay at. But the very next day he had to get out. Like she wanted him out of her house. But like, you can stay here just for tonight. But the next day you got to go. I don't know where you're gonna go, but you can't, stay here the next day. So of course he was gone. Way before even telling anybody good morning. Thea had walked into the room to check on him. It was a guest room. He was not in there. He was gone. They didn't know where he went to. But one day, Artie gonna be looking around for this man. He's gonna be looking around for this man because he was in trouble on this day. The bullies was after him, and they was threatening to beat him up. And it's all because Artie had told on the Roger guy. Roger had did some prank on a teacher where he had put like some thumbtacks like in the teacher's seat. The teacher sat down on it. It was like a safety pin or something. He sat in the seat. It stuck inside of the woman's where, and she jumped it up. It pinched at her, and she got it out of her and said, well, okay, who did this? And Artie at first did not tell it, but after class he ended up telling the teacher that it was Roger who did it. Once he did that, of course, Roger ended up getting in trouble about it. Roger ended up finding out that Artie had told somebody had got the word back to Roger that it was Artie that had snitched it on him. So he threatened to beat up Artie. He told Artie that he was dead meat. Artie did not know what to do. And Artie tried to find his goodness slate guy. And he ended up going into that store that he tried to get the lollipop and soda pop at. Tell me why when he walked it in there and he asked it, the man behind the register, like about Goodness Slate, the man had said that Goodness Slate had ended up passing away. He ended up passing away from natural causes. And Artie was heartbroken. Artie did not know that fast. He had that fast encounter with that man, and that man ended up passing away. And so Artie was heartbroken and about that. And these bullies, they ended up finding where he lived at. They were standing on the outside. Roger was yelling out like, you might as well come out and take this beating like a man and stuff like that, even though Artie is only 7 years old and Roger himself is a kid. But he had said that you might as well come out and take this beating like a man. Artie was scared. He was a lot smaller than Roger. The rest of those boys was bigger than him. It was like David versus Goliath. But Artie ended up stepping out. He like, can't be afraid no more. He ended up stepping out, and when he had stepped it out, he was not alone. He thought it was just him standing out there alone, but when he stepped it out there to fight Roger and them, Roger and them got shook up for some reason when they saw Artie. But because they was seeing an extra person that was standing behind Artie, and this extra person was tall. This person was tall. But Artie didn't see nobody standing behind him. They were like, is that supposed to be your daddy standing behind you? And Artie was like, ain't nobody standing behind me. What you talking about? Like, it's a tall man right there standing behind you. And Artie was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't see nobody. And once they seen that Artie was letting them know right off the bat that he did not see anyone behind him, he clearly didn't have anyone behind him, and that he was the only one standing right there, the boys got freaked out, and they just, shut down the whole fight. thing that they was gonna have with him. Roger did not want to fight Artie. Roger was actually afraid to come near Artie or even confront Artie again. You know, after they seen that, Artie had no idea that he had a guardian angel standing right behind him. Yes, I said correctly, a guardian angel. And I'm in this video, and I'm also make a short. I'm gonna make a short on some dessert that my mom had made. And the question is, do you think angels are real?